said, don't want to give up that late touchdown, but how important is it to get some of those guys in there, get them reps early, because you might turn to them at some point this season, and how valuable can those be?
Yeah, I think it's huge. A guy like, Bryce McMorris getting in there, some who's coming off of a knee injury and didn't look full speed throughout the spring, and I think he's getting more and more confident with what he's doing, and some of those young corners, because when you need them, and you don't want the moment to be too big where they hadn't got in games, and that's not easy. It's not easy to, if I'm not playing on teams, to come in 3 hours into a game and have to get out there, but when you practice and prepare like a pro, you get yourself ready for those situations. So I think that's it's a big opportunity for those guys to be able to get some game reps for sure.
Corey sits out last season at OU, comes in here, reunites with Coach Tibbs. What have you seen from him since he's been back with him, and to have that pick six in game one?
Yeah, it was awesome for him to see. Just when you look at his career and just a fresh start for him, and his attitude, his spirit, really humble guy, great teammate. So you can't say enough about him as far as his character as a young man, from my experience around him. And so I think he makes us better in the locker room, those areas, and really athletic, got good length, a lot of twitch, and I think he's got a lot of upside still. With us having two years with him, I think it's going to be huge just because his frame and athletic ability, and so I think he'll just continue to get better and better each week.
What were you thinking when he came down with it? He had 28 yards between him and the end zone.
It took me about 5 seconds to realize he had the ball, because I was looking at the glance they were trying to throw and watching our free safety. So then I realized, and guys are obviously pretty excited for him. When a big man gets a play like that, it's pretty special.
What concerns you most about the Sooners' offense?
Well, I mean, one, you have an extremely experienced quarterback. I was at Memphis in 2018 when we played UCF in the conference championship, and he started that game, and we were up 17, I believe, at half, and he came back and whooped us pretty good. So he's been doing it a long time. I mean, that's 2018. We're in 2023. So and he's gotten so much better. I think looking at him then. I remember when we prepared for him then, they were running a lot of Q run game with him. He was young. It was early in his career. Now to be a guy that you can tell they trust, 100% to run the offense, whether it's RPOs, whether it's their choice, play action, protection stuff, to make the right reads, to deliver the ball on time. And so you couple that with the speed and skill and size that they have at receiver, the explosiveness that they have at running back, and a very, very experienced O-line. So a lot of respect for them. I think they've done a tremendous job getting them from where they were at last year to where they're at week one, and they got a good staff and good scheme and good players, so that usually is pretty good for me.
Does it help at all having seen both quarterbacks, Gabriel and Arnold, especially with Arnold not having any film? Does that help in preparation at all in case you see both?
Yeah, I think the thing about it both of them, you can, yes, to have a sample size on Arnold, obviously helps in those games to see how the offense changes with him a little bit. But yeah, you can see on film both of them are very comfortable and confident running the offense. So I don't see, obviously Gabriel's pretty special and, running that at a really high level right now. But when you got two quarterbacks like that you can roll, it's a good problem to have.
Coach, is it fair to call this a measuring stick game for SMU?
Well, I think it's the next game, and I think like I said, I think the biggest jump is week 1 to week 2, and so it's going to be a much more formidable opponent.
You're on the road,
so you've got environment, you've got those things. So the thing I like about our team is I think we have a good mature group of guys, whether those are guys that have been here, guys that have transferred in here. And so it's just, right now it's a really good challenge for us, and it's the next game. And we're focused on getting better throughout the course of the season. This is an opportunity for us to, to make a next step against a much better offense than we just played last week.
Do you go in as far as rotations positionally? Do you take game 1 and maybe say, okay, these guys need more time? Is that more of an in-game thing? Just kind of how much rotation will you do with the guys, kind of planning, and then how much do you change in game?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of depth, and so I'll say that again. I feel the only way that you're going to create that that level where there's not like a drop off between the first guys that go out there and the second guys is by playing guys. And we feel as a staff very confident that we have 4 corners playing at a high level right now, that we have 6 safeties that are playing, so we have 4 backers, 5 backers, so and a lot of those guys are playing on teams, so we're going to continue to be able to play guys to keep them fresh and roll them. And we know, they're the fastest pace offense in the country, so we're going to have to be able to roll guys to keep them fresh. And so I don't think that changes. I don't think that changes week 2 to week 3 to week 4. I think you're buying in the locker room when guys know they're going to have an opportunity if they can consistently practice well and come out and produce. Now, ultimately, yes, if a guy's practicing and he's not producing, then yeah, maybe those reps fall off down the road. But right now, I feel like the guys that we're putting out there with our 1s and 2s are executing overall at a pretty high level, and so the drop off isn't. We really don't see it. So why wouldn't we keep guys fresh and keep rolling guys?
Alex Kilgore got the start. When did you decide that? How did you tell him? Was he excited?
That wasn't my decision. That was Coach Crumb's decision. We hire position coaches, guys that I trust to make decisions and manage their room. And but I think ultimately he saw the same thing that I saw, which is a guy that's got a tremendous upside and a bright future and has come out here and performed. And it's funny because you look at Ahmad, who started next to him, and he got to do the same thing as a freshman. That's the only 2 that I've seen in my coaching career at that position do it, which is pretty unique. So it takes a certain level of kid to be able to come in here, play middle linebacker, and start as a freshman from a maturity standpoint, from a mental approach standpoint. So he's got ways to continue to develop, but I know that how he approaches each and every day and his desire to be great is going to put him in situations to continuously keep getting better and keep climbing.
He got the 2 sacks, but did you see anything else that you guys are working with him on now that he's got 1 game under his belt?
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's reps and consistency and just getting better at doing his job at a high level. I think it's not anything. We didn't see anything out there that we hadn't seen in practice. He makes plays in practice, but I like all 5 of our linebackers. I think Colby, as he consistently gets more and more reps and gets more and more comfortable with the system, I think he's got a lot of upside. And I think Quan's improved a tremendous amount. You saw the first sack of the game there, and so when you look at all those guys in that room, I think there's a lot of guys. Chris has a really good role for us and is going to keep developing to be an every down linebacker. And so I feel pretty good about that room and 5 guys that can play. Good.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.